right, here we go. Last cold start with the Billy Bullet exhaust. Well, friends, here we go. As I mentioned, it's a happy and sad day. I'm love the way this exhaust sounds. It's really fantastic. Especially like drop the windows a little bit and just cruise the streets. It's perfect. It just sounds super mean, like super mean. But the problem is it's just too much on the freeway. Like, you really can't take this car anywhere long distance without being just pummeled by the drone, like pummeled. And at my age, I just feel like my hearing isn't going to get better. It's only going to get worse, and I don't want this car to be responsible for it getting worse. So, you know, the time that I realized there was kind of a problem, it's about 5 years ago. My Lexus went down for an extended period. Long story, but basically an audio shop had punctured my fuel tank, and so the car reeked of gasoline. I couldn't drive it for months. So this was my only daily driver, and it's not the worst daily driver, honestly. I rather enjoyed it, but the biggest issue I had was, I'd get home and my wife would say stuff to me and I was like, huh? What? I just couldn't hear her at all. And it was because, you drive this for 100 miles, and by the time you get home, even if my ears weren't ringing, their sensitivity had declined significantly. So, that's when I realized I had to make some changes. And the first thing I did was actually change the mid-pipe setup. So I put a more aggressive mid-pipe on, but it had resonators. And that actually did quiet it down like a little bit. When I had the stock mid-pipe, it was just gnarly loud and just kind of nasty. But this, I got like a Billy Boat mid-pipe, and it sounds, it really brought the tone kind of deeper and beefier. And it did get rid of some of the highway drone, but not all of it, by any stretch of the imagination. So, it was a step in the right direction for sure, but it didn't solve my problems. And, really the solution for this car, and I think for me, almost any sports car with a V8 has always been Flowmaster. And I know that's going to be kind of a controversial thing to say. A lot of you are going to say, well, what about Corsa? What about Borla? What about, you name it. There are a lot of great exhaust systems out there for between $1,000 and $2,000 that I'm sure I would absolutely love, like love. But these Flowmasters I got for $200, and they're like mint, like they're almost perfect. That's gonna work for me, you know, as long as it gets rid of the drone, which I'm almost certain they will. And I've just always been happy with Flowmaster. It's always been a brand that has delivered kind of exactly what it promises. And, you know, that's worth a lot to me. So, you know, that's what I'm going with. I'm sure some of you watching will have found better solutions, but I'm sure nothing for around $200, you know, so that's kind of the deal. I'm gonna hose the car off real quick and I'll check back in. All right, friends, car is cleaner. There's that beautiful Billy Boat Bullet. I did try out the Meguiar's, what's this called? Hybrid ceramic wax. Now, if I sound a little out of breath, it's because I'm short on time, and I was scrubbing as hard and as quick as I could, just to get this car knocked out. So I just did the hood and the roof with the ceramic wax, and fellers, let me tell you something. That stuff works. I'm astonished. I just figured it would be squirted on, wipe it off, and the car looks fine. And I would have been cool with those results, like, honestly. But man, this stuff, like, I wish you could see what I'm seeing. My hood hasn't been this shiny and I can't remember when. Like, it worked miracles. I'm kind of blown away. It's more work than your standard, like, spray on, wipe off wax. So you have to make sure the car is still wet when you put it on. So you spray it onto the wet paint. And you don't want to use too much. You have to do like just a small amount, and then you wipe it off. But it seems like that was kind of step one. Step two was kind of buffing it off. So I had to follow it up with another rag and really kind of polish it off. But like, once you get the kind of like the hazy streaks out, what you're left with is like smooth and shiny, like unbelievable. And the paint on my hood is, I don't want to say it's trashed, but it's not good. Okay, like there's definitely a spot kind of in the middle where the clear coat is just kind of like, oops, and forth, where the clear coat is kind of dying. You know, it's just it's seen better days. There's no other way to put it. But like with this stuff, dude, it looks great. Like, I haven't seen it in the sunlight. I was just doing it like in the car wash bay, which of course I would only do if nobody was waiting, and nobody was waiting. So just, you know, be cool. It's, you know, it's a weekday and it's still kind of, you know, it's like late morning, so it's just not a busy time at the car wash. So you may hear a little rattling behind me. That's the Flowmaster setup. We've got the two mufflers. We've got the two pipes that kind of go over the axle, whatever you call those. And I bought some exhaust tips a little while back. Found a guy on Craigslist, oddly enough. I mean, like, no one's ever on Craigslist anymore, but I actually found these Flowmasters and some quad tips all on Craigslist. I got the quad tips for like $40, and I was thinking they'd be a good matchup for the Flowmasters here. The only problem is the diameter of the quad tips that I bought, you know, for the, I guess, like the pipe going from the muffler to the tip, is a smaller diameter pipe than what the Flowmasters have. So I'm thinking those aren't going to work, actually, which, major bummer. The Flowmasters are pretty big. This is an older style exhaust. It was one of the first Flowmaster systems that came out for the C6. And so it's actually just dual exits instead of the quads, even like the factory pipes, you know. So I don't care for the looks of these Flowmasters, and I just want to put like the quad style tips on there. I may have to see what the exhaust shop has. I'm a little afraid to pay them what they want, but I'm not sure I'm going to have many options at this point. So anyway, going to grab a little coffee, and then we'll head on down to the shop. Well, as I near the muffler shop, I'm going to give it just a couple last, like, enthusiastic pulls here. Slow her down. Ready? Wow. Oh, man. I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss that a lot. But the car's going to have the same power. It should anyway. So it's still going to be a hoot. All right, I better figure out where I'm going. Yeah.
Much better, huh?
Yeah, it's perfect. Perfect.
Before maybe he was losing the power.
Oh yeah.
It's a straight pipe.
There's two open.
Oh, it does? It loses power?
Well, hello, welcome back. What a day. Man, that was ridiculous. As with every project, it always takes longer than you think. I feel like we did end up with a positive resolution. Flowmasters sound really good, actually. Really good. They're nice and beefy when you step on it, but it's kind of just very livable the rest of the time. You know, you can just kind of that faint rumble in the background. It's great. When I get on the freeway, which I'm on right now, it's very manageable. I'll let you know, I'm going to be going up a freeway like that has a steep hill, so I'm going to be loading it up in 6th gear, and we'll see how that feels. But you know, the difficulty I ran into this morning, I basically just kind of looked at the map and tried to find the area where there were kind of several muffler shops, so that way I could kind of shop around and figure out what I wanted to do. Originally, the dude in my neighborhood, I think he wanted like $275, $300, around there, which I thought was way too much. In retrospect, I kind of wish I had just gone there, because they would have been easy. you know, no time lost driving, because I still have a bunch of stuff to do today, and this really sucked up a lot of the day. But in any case, first shop I went to, the guy just looked at the car and said, no. He said, no. I said, what do you mean, no? He said, well, car's too low to the ground. Your mufflers are hiding. I can't see what I'm doing. Just, no, forget it. So it's like, okay. So I went to another shop. He wanted $400. And I kind of said, wow, that's a big job, huh? He's like, well, everything's gone up. I said, okay, well, I'll have to think about it. And then I just kind of went on the hunt, and I kept driving to these addresses where there was supposed to be a muffler shop, but it was more of like a complete auto care place and mufflers. No thanks. I mean, I've found that like with mufflers, you know, with exhaust, you want a shop that does just that, because they have all the equipment, they know what they're doing. I mean, I'm sure there's a complete auto care place somewhere that does great exhaust work, but you know, the places that I was rolling up on didn't really appear that way. So that was a no-go. Finally, you know, and the thing is, like, I mean, you can see I do have headroom in this car, but the roof line is really low. So when you're trying to find addresses, you know, you're doing this and trying to focus on where you're driving and stuff, and it is kind of challenging. I know, boo-hoo, but that's just, you know, that's one of the things with having a vet. You know, you're low to the ground, it's hard to see. So finally, there was a place, I think it was like Jalisco something, muffler or something, and it was just like a used tire shop. And I asked the guy, I said, hey, is there a muffler shop here? He said, oh yeah. He said, go to this place. So I said, okay. So I went to this place, King Muffler. And I have to say, really beautiful shop. Like really clean. Just seemed like they were really on top of their business, you know. They're on Oxnard Street in Van Nuys. And, you know, they were working on a Porsche, like the SUV, maybe the Cayenne or whatever. I don't know what the heck it was. They were working on one of those. They had a Mercedes in there. So I felt like, you know, I felt confident that they could certainly handle my little Chevy.
In 1,000 feet,
sorry about
onto State Route 134 East HOV.
There. In any case, like, the guy just said, well, he said, I'd really need to put it on the lift just to see if it's possible to put those on and this and that. But he was like, but, you know, I've got a car or two ahead of you. So I had to wait quite a while. I think I had to wait like over an hour before I could even like get up on the lift. But finally they put it up on the lift.
Keep left onto State Route 134 East HOV.
I'll let him finish. So, you know, they quoted me $230, and I felt like, you know, compared to $275 and $400, you know, and with all the time that I had invested in this project, I thought that was worth it. Now, the only downside is that I decided to go with the Flowmaster.
In 1.9 miles,
and
keep right onto State Route 134
sorry about my friend.
East.
So I went with the Flowmaster tips, the ones that were on the mufflers to begin with. And that was maybe like the first, I think it was the first design that Flowmaster did for the C6 Corvette. And they just did it with the single outlets. Or I guess you know, it just, you know, you see two. And I mean, it's a bummer because I really like the look of the four pipes, even though they're just tips. The tips that I bought, you know, aren't going to work for this. They're too small. So whatever. You know, the guy did at King Muffler, he did have some tips that would work, and they looked really good, honestly, but he wanted $120 a piece, you know, plus installation. So, I mean, I was going to be looking at over $500 to get out of there. And I just couldn't justify it right now. You know, maybe someday. But, you know, I mean, this is a recreational vehicle for me at this point, so it's not, you know, it's not that important. And it has other cosmetic issues. And honestly, the dual pipes look pretty good. Even the guy at the exhaust shop who was, you know, I could tell as he was putting them on, he wasn't happy. But, you know, once the car was down on the ground, he was like, you know what, man, those look pretty good. Like, that's a lot better than I expected. And I agree. They look good. They sound good. And now this is a car that I can actually use, which is really, really nice. I mean, I remember when I bought it, one of the things that was really great about this car was that, like, you could daily drive it, you know, because it was not too loud. You know, it was really smooth on the highway and everything. And once I put that billy boat system on it, it was just kind of, it was the end of the daily driving days for this car. You know, which was fine, but I don't know, at my age, I just kind of, as I mentioned, my hearing isn't going to be getting any better, and I don't need that kind of abuse while I'm driving. Yeah, it's funny, there was a kid, I mean, so I'm 40, and there was a kid who was probably 20, 25 at the most, and he was getting his car worked on at the same time as me. He had a Cadillac ATS, and a nice little car. I don't know too much about those. I'm going to be doing a little research because it looks like those are pretty affordable, actually. But he had a really nice little ATS. It was like a 2018 4-door, 2-liter turbo, and yeah, he was doing a muffler delete on that car, which, I mean, I didn't want to tell him, like, yo, just leave it. Get a car with a proper engine. But, you know, hey, he's young and he wants a little bit of excitement in his life, and that was totally me at his age. So, I mean, heck, I put a loud muffler on my 89 Sentra. So, totally get it. You know, for where he's at in life, that's exactly what he should be doing. And I hope he's really happy with it. He sure looked, like, excited when he left. And, like, I'm excited too. My car is quieter, but it's still, you know, it'll still scream a little bit. It's just it's a more mature scream. So I'll try and get a little, this traffic jam is just not ideal for showing the exhaust. So once it clears up, I'll try and do another little clip, you know, maybe accelerating on the on-ramp or something like that. Man, it's only like 3 o'clock, 3:20. I don't know why this is so terrible today, but it is what it is. We'll deal with it. I just want to go home. I've been out all day just to get one thing done. It's frustrating. All right, folks, I'll be back. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah. It's nice, like, get on it, snarls, do another third gear. Oh yeah, brakes. Yeah, I mean, you know, if I'm honest,
In 3 miles, keep left.
if I'm honest, it's a lot closer to stock now, so it's not as fun. But I mean, like, there's no, oh, it's so good. There's no real kind of head-splitting drone. So now I'm in 6th gear. You can hardly hear the engine. Oh yeah. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's what I wanted. There's a little, you know, little tiny bit of drone. So I'm doing about 70 right now in 6th gear uphill, pulling 1500 RPM. And now I'm going to roll on about half throttle. There's a touch of drone, but that's not enough to There's a little bit. That's nothing like before, though. I can totally deal with that. That's so much better. Oh, thank you. I wish I had one of those mild to wild switches. That would be awesome. But you know, those are really expensive. So I think all things considered, this is perfect. You know, it would be fun if I could make it louder at the push of a button, but this is still plenty gnarly, and I don't want to get pulled over anyway. Because in California, we have some pretty nasty exhaust rules, and you know, thankfully, I never got caught. I should have been. All right, I may try and get a little drive-by. We're going through a bridge in a couple minutes here, so I'll try and tap back in for that. All right, folks, coming up on a tunnel. You know what that means. That's awesome. Awesome. It's plenty loud, but not too loud. Man, what a deal. And I was looking online, the newest version of this exhaust system from Flowmaster is like over $1,000. So I got it for $200. Many thanks to the nice guy I bought it from. I can't remember his name now. He was down in like Manhattan Beach, I think, something like that. Really cool dude. Had a really sweet C6, and he put a Z06 clutch in it, and I was impressed. He did that in his driveway. Dude's out of his mind, because these cars are pretty hard to do a clutch on. You know, it usually costs about $2,000, but he did it himself and works great. So big shout out to him, whoever he is. I can't remember. I think it was Max. I think his name was Max. But yeah, I mean, I got these mufflers for $200 and then for $230 installed. So, you know, so $430 out of pocket to get them put on the car. That's not bad. I mean, it's still a lot of money, but I've got the Billy boats for sale. If any of you are interested, I'd prefer to do a local sale on those, and I'll probably try and get around $600 for them, but we'll see. And you know, they sound great. It's just too loud for me. So I'll throw those up pretty soon, and have some stock tips also. Let's see if I can get my $40 back, or 50. Everything's gone up, so $50. Gonna make a little money. What else? Oh yeah, so I know what I was gonna say. You know, the one, I feel like with every step along the way in this exhaust process, I've made some errors. And it always ends up with me, A, spending more money than I wanted to, and B, ending up with something not quite what I was looking for. And pretty much every time I go to these exhaust shops, they kind of say like, well, we can put on what you bought, but it would have been better if you had just come here, you know. So I think the moral of the story is, and I'm mainly saying this for me, hopefully you all make better choices, but maybe somebody can learn from my mistakes, and that's one of the hopes of this channel. But yeah, if there's like an exhaust project you want to do, maybe before you start hunting for the used parts, you know, on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, eBay, just go to the muffler shop and ask them first. Because, you know, I'm wondering, you know, if I had just gone in there and said, hey, what can you make for me custom? You know, maybe it would have been $500. I don't know. But maybe it would have fit better and looked exactly how I wanted it to. Because, you know, these guys, I mean, they're experts with pipes. And they even told me that, like, the problem with the Flowmaster kit was like the pipes that go over the axle. He said like they don't fit perfectly. You know, as much as Flowmaster wants to tell you that they're going to fit perfectly, they just didn't. He said, you know, when we make the pipes ourselves, they fit perfectly. He's like, it's always harder when we have to fit stuff that's already made. And I certainly understand that. So I think in the future, I mean, I don't know what the future holds for me in sports cars. You know, it's not a very practical vehicle for me to own anymore. But I don't know. But I always want to have a Corvette. But I think in the future, anytime I want to do a project, I'm just going to go straight to King Muffler and see what they want me to do. Like, and then if I disagree with them, you know, then I can make an educated decision. I mean, not that I know better than them, but you know what I mean. Like, if I just don't really like what they're suggesting, then I'll do my own thing. Like, good example, and I don't know if he's the owner, but he was the guy that took my money. But he was telling me, you know, I told him my exhaust was too loud, and he was like, well, he said, you know, that Flowmaster setup's gonna be really loud too. You know, MagnaFlow is much better. You know, and I kind of thought like, well, like maybe, but I just kind of thought like every time I've had Flowmaster, I've liked it. You know, I had Flowmasters on my 87 Vette. I had Flowmasters on my 96 Mustang. I had Flowmasters on my 89 Firebird. I had Flowmaster on my 89 Sentra. And on all of those applications, you know, there was kind of a common thread with how the exhaust system performed. Like, I always felt that the sound was beefy when I romped on it, but then at idle and cruising, it really wasn't that obnoxious. It was just like a very livable exhaust. Gives you more of what you want and less of what you don't want. So I have to say that's the case with this application. I suppose I wish it was a little louder, but I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's just fine. So anyway, folks, that's my adventure. That was my day. I mean, my day is really just beginning. But at least I got that out of the way and checked that year-plus long project off my list. And now I can enjoy this car and take my son out in it and not feel guilty about, like, because, you know, it's one thing to damage my hearing, but I really don't want to damage my son's hearing. You know, he's got his whole life ahead of him, and you know, he'll have his own stupid choices to make, but I don't want my stupid choice of a loud exhaust to make his life any harder. You know what I mean? So, and I don't think I've messed up his hearing at all. We hardly drive this car, but I just, you know, it's something I always worry about. But the way it is now, it's perfect. It's not going to hurt his ears. It's not going to hurt my ears. It's not going to be as annoying to my neighbors, even though they've all been really nice. But, you know, it's a more considerate setup. And it really makes me enjoy this car a lot more. A little bit less on the street, but way more on the highway. So anyway, I'm not going to do my whole gas mileage report because there's nothing to report. I've been romping on it and sitting in traffic, so yeah, we're not going to talk about gas mileage. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching. Please, if you enjoy the content, and even if you don't, just do me a favor. Give me the thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will see you in the next one.